welcome to the deep dive. Look, if you're listening to this, chances are your browser is, well, probably the most important tool you own. It's where you work, communicate, maybe where you live online, frankly. But that means these little tools we add on, browser extensions, they can either totally supercharge your productivity.
Oh, absolutely.
Or they can become just a massive security nightmare.
Exactly right. And we've really dug into this. We've pulled apart research on everything from, those essential Gmail add-ons to the really granular technical stuff behind Chrome's big security changes.
Right.
So our mission today really is to give you the shortcut. How do you use these powerful things smartly, safely, and efficiently?
Okay, so let's skip the preamble and just jump right into the power-ups. We should start, I think, with Gmail, because turning that basic inbox into a real workflow machine, that's where the instant appeal is, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a workflow revolution happening right in your inbox.
Right.
Think about tools like Boomerang or Right Inbox. Scheduling emails is kind of standard now, but their real power, I think, is stopping that, agonizing wait. They track opens, sure, but the key thing is setting follow-up reminders. They prompt you if someone doesn't reply by a deadline you set.
So it automates the nagging, basically.
Kind of, yeah. It's automation and accountability, built right in. Takes the mental load off.
What I find really cool is how they kill that context switching problem.
Yeah.
You've got integrations for Todoist, for Trello, that let you just turn an email, maybe a project request or a bug report straight into a task or a Kanban card. You don't even have to leave Gmail.
Yeah, that seamlessness is key. And, for people who just can't deal with the standard list view of an inbox, there's Sort for Gmail.
Over to that one.
It completely changes the game. Turns your inbox into this visual drag and drop board. You can sort emails like tasks, to do, in progress, follow up, done. It really helps if you're a visual thinker.
I also appreciate the ones that help with, real-time behavior. Simplify Gmail, for instance.
Right.
Strips out all the visual clutter. Makes it much cleaner.
Yeah, less noise.
But my favorite is probably just... Sorry. It's like having a little confidence coach.
Yeah.
It underlines weak language, unnecessary apologies. Just wanted to check in. That kind of thing.
Nice.
Encourages stronger writing.
That's actually pretty clever.
Yeah.
But, if we're talking peak efficiency, we really have to mention Checker Plus for Gmail.
Right.
This thing is a lifesaver if you're juggling multiple accounts, personal, work, side hustle.
Okay, so multiple accounts, seeing unread counts without opening tabs. That sounds like a huge time saver. But doesn't that kind of constant background access, doesn't that feel a bit risky?
That's the perfect question. And yes, it absolutely requires a high degree of trust, but it's incredibly popular because it's just so useful. You can manage multiple Google accounts, get instant desktop notifications, even read, delete, or quickly compose using voice input, all from this little drop-down menu, without ever having the main Gmail site open.
So you click the icon, see everything, switch accounts fast. That cuts down Gmail time dramatically. And I guess for something with that much power, the customization, notification sounds, keyboard shortcuts, that's what makes it stick.
Exactly. But that leads us straight into the critical balance, doesn't it? We love the productivity, but we have to protect the inbox itself. Every extension is another layer of trust we're adding.
Absolutely. So the first line of defense has got to be tools designed specifically for privacy and security. We looked into some for secure comms and tracker blocking.
Yes. For really secure communication, you've got things like FlowCrypt. It gives you end-to-end encryption using OpenPGP. Pretty standard, very solid. And then for folks in regulated industries, healthcare, Finance Virtue email protection helps make sure your emails meet compliance rules like IPA or GDPR.
Right, that's crucial for some professions. And what about just stopping people from knowing when you open their email? That feels like a basic privacy.
Totally. For that, Pixel Block is essential. It works silently in the background, blocking most of those invisible tracking pixels like the ones MailTrack uses. So yeah, they don't get that feedback on when or even if you open their message.
So those tools handle external threats. But I think everyone's had that moment, clicking add to Chrome and then thinking, wait, what did I just agree to?
Oh yeah, the allow all access moment of dread.
Exactly. The real risk often comes from the extension itself, which makes vetting just non-negotiable.
The number one red flag, the thing that should make you slam on the brakes, is excessive permissions. If a super simple extension, maybe one that just changes your browser background,
Right.
if that asks permission to read and change all your data on websites you visit, that's a massive risk. It's completely out of proportion to what it claims to do.
And if that extension gets compromised, it's game over.
It becomes a goldmine for an attacker. And that leads straight to data collection risks. These things can track your browsing history in detail, what you click, how long you stay on pages. That data can then be packaged up and sold to advertisers, data brokers, whoever wants it.
And the really sneaky one is the malicious update. We've seen this happen, right? A perfectly good extension gets sold.
Yep. Sold to some unknown third party who then pushes out an update. Looks normal, but underneath it's got malware or sophisticated data harvesting code. You trusted the original developer, but suddenly you're exposed.
Okay, so that's pretty scary. What does this actually mean for us day to day? What are the concrete steps to minimize the risk?
All right, practical advice. First, be selective. Just install what you genuinely need. Every single extension is a potential vulnerability.
Fewer is better.
Definitely. And check the developer's reputation. Go for official extensions or ones from well-known companies. Look for high user counts, usually a good sign, though not foolproof. But the really crucial thing is active management. Go through your installed extensions regularly. Uninstall anything you don't use anymore.
Audit them.
Exactly. And most importantly, check the site access settings. Don't just leave it on all sites. If you can, restrict it to on specific sites, or even better, when you click the extension.
That makes a huge difference. Limits the blast radius if something goes wrong.
Exponentially, yeah.
And this focus on limiting access, it ties directly to Google's big overhaul, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Manifest V3, the old V2 is being phased out. V3 is the future.
This is where Google's getting really serious about locking things down. Manifest V3, it actually prohibits remotely hosted code.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means the extensions code has to be bundled inside the extension package itself when it's reviewed. It can't just pull down new, potentially malicious code from a remote server after installation.
So that directly tackles that malicious update problem we talked about.
Precisely. It makes it much, much harder to sneak nasty stuff in later. V3 also enforces stricter content security policies, further limiting what extensions can do.
Now, the big fight, or the big technical shift, was around the APIs, right? The old Web Request API versus the new Declarative Net Request API, or DNR.
That's the heart of the security improvement, yeah.
The
old Web Request API in V2. It was incredibly flexible, developers loved it, but it was fundamentally dangerous from a security perspective.
How so?
It allowed the extension to literally sit in the middle, intercepting, reading, and even modifying your network traffic in real time. Think of it as a man in the middle right inside your browser.
Okay, that sounds bad.
It was. It enabled things like credential theft, sniffing out your passwords as you type them, session hijacking, stealing your login cookies to bypass even multi-factor authentication, ad injection, redirecting you to phishing sites. All sorts of nasty stuff was possible because the extension could see the raw network data.
Wow. Okay, so DNR and V3 is meant to fix that. How does it work differently?
DNR is rule-based and much safer. The extension doesn't see the network traffic anymore. Instead, it declares rules to the browser up front, like block requests matching this pattern, or redirect this type of URL. The browser itself then enforces those rules internally. The extension just sets the policy. The browser executes it without the extension ever touching the sensitive network data. Massively better for privacy and security.
But there's a trade-off, isn't there? I heard ad blocker developers weren't too happy initially.
Right. The trade-off is flexibility and power. DNR has limits on the number of rules an extension can declare. And because the extension doesn't see the traffic in real time, it can't make dynamic decisions based on, say, the specific content of a web page as it loads.
So complex ad blockers that needed to react dynamically had to change how they worked.
Exactly. They have to rely more on predefined static block lists. It's a clear choice Google made. Prioritize security and performance over the absolute maximum dynamic control extensions used to have. Overall, though, it makes the whole ecosystem significantly safer for users.
Okay, so despite the security clampdown, valuable tools are still thriving, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's flip to the success stories then. These aren't just niche tools anymore.
No way! The Chrome Web Store has created actual giants. Look at ad blockers. Adblock has, over 67 million users? And then you have uBlock Origin, which is beloved by privacy advocates open source, collects zero user data, massive user bases built on solving a real pain point.
And the money involved. We don't always think of extensions as big business, but honey, the coupon finder.
Yeah. Acquired by PayPal for a reported $4 billion.
$4 billion. That's staggering.
And you can see why, right? It solves that checkout anxiety, that feeling you might be missing a discount. Honey, company offers a one-click fix right when you need it. Same logic applies to Grammarly.
The writing assistant.
Yeah, valued over $1 billion now. Why? Because it gives millions of people an instant quality check on their writing right there in the browser. Huge value proposition.
You also see success in really specific niches, like Gmass.
Right. Gmass turns your regular Gmail into a serious tool for mass email, cold outreach, mail merges. It lets people bypass standard sending limits, automate follow-ups, all from inside Gmail. It shows you can build a very profitable business serving a specific high-value need.
But we have to circle back to the warnings, because even popular, really useful extensions can turn bad. It happened.
Definitely need to underscore the vigilance. The classic example is the Great Suspender incident back in 2020.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was hugely popular for saving memory.
Exactly. Great tool. Then it got sold to a new unknown owner. And shortly after, an update was pushed that silently added malicious tracking and data harvesting. Google eventually had to step in and remove it from millions of browsers. Huge mess.
And it wasn't a one-off, was it?
No, something similar happened with Nano Ad Blocker and Nano Defender around 2020. Sold, then updated with malicious code. It's a known pattern. That's why just looking at user count isn't enough when you're evaluating an extension.
So, beyond the user numbers, what else should people look for? What are the signs of a trustworthy developer or a quality extension?
Okay, first, look for a clear, accessible privacy policy. If they don't have one, or it's hard to find, that's a red flag. Second, pay attention to performance. Does installing it make your browser noticeably slower? Does it hog CPU or memory? Poorly coded extensions can really drag down your whole system. Task Manager in Chrome can help check this.
Good tip.
And third, check the update history. When was it last updated? An extension that hasn't been touched by the developer in, say, over a year? That could be abandonware, it might not be malicious, but it could have unpatched security vulnerabilities as the browser itself keeps evolving.
Right, it becomes a liability. Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen these incredible productivity boosts, especially in Gmail, but it's clear that every single time you click Add to Chrome, it's a security decision. You need to be informed.
That's the core takeaway. The Chrome Web Store is an amazing resource, truly powerful. But you absolutely need to install things thoughtfully, vet the permissions, manage them actively over time. It's non-negotiable for security. And understand that Manifest v3 is a big step by Google to force the entire ecosystem towards being safer.
All right, so we'll leave you with a final thought, something that maybe highlights the depth of control these seemingly small tools can have, often in ways we don't consider.
Yeah, most of us think of extensions as, personal productivity boosters or maybe ad blockers, consumer tools.
Right.
But in corporate or enterprise environments, extensions become powerful tools for IT administrators to enforce company-wide policies on managed devices, especially on Chrome OS.
This isn't just blocking Facebook, is it?
Oh no, we're talking way deeper. They use special enterprise APIs to do things like manage user certificates for secure network access, enforce compliance rules, automate really complex internal workflows across thousands of employees. It's a level of embedded system control dictating precisely how users interact with online resources within a managed secure environment that most people just clicking Add to Chrome for a nifty email tool never even think about. That potential for deep control, it lives right there on your browser toolbar.